it comes under patent, trademark. You can see our logo, and you are aware about CUP logo as well. It is trademark for your organization. Any book, any artistic work, or any manual, manuscript, these all come under copyright. I will discuss it in detail in my later slides. Likewise, there are industrial design, trade secrets like KFC's trade secret and Coca-Cola trade secrets, which they have not disclosed with anyone yet, and geographical indications. Nature of intellectual property rights. Basically, intellectual property rights are creation of our mind. It is our intellect. And we usually compare IP rights with any property rights. But there is one difference. IP rights are intangible property. You can't touch them. Otherwise, in IPR, the rights are given by the government and they are enforceable as well legally. And these are the exclusive rights which are given by Indian Patent Office, or in case of Copyright Office, in return of full disclosure of your work. And IP rights, they all are territorial in nature. And these are called negative rights. Why? Because we are stopping others from copying our work. And each IP has some limited time period. And as I said, because the rights are given by government, so they are legally enforceable as well. Benefits of IPR to the innovators. First of all, you are protecting your innovation, and moreover, you are building brand value for your organization as well. Basically, if anyone is working on any innovative project and filing patent application, and patent is granted to that person, that faculty, in the name of CUP, then it motivates others as well, because it create the conducive environment in the organization as well. Not only it is building the brand value for the organization, but it also opens a source of revenue as well. Because one thing always keep in mind, while you start working on any research work, either it's your MSc, MTech work or PhD work, just do your homework prior to start your work, if it is novel or not, and identify the problems which are faced by the industry pertaining to that particular domain. Why? Because there is need of those kind of solution. This way you are thinking about revenue generation in future as well. But because it is not only to file patent applications and increase the number, but the next step is to commercialize, to further develop that technology and commercialize it so that you can earn revenue out of that. If your project is good, then there are so many scope of collaboration with other industry partner or other academic institutions, just like IITs and other institutes, and it promotes entrepreneurship as well. And the best example is spin-off. For example, any faculty and research scholar who are working on any project at CUPB, they can, because as per the IP policy, the work which is generated in the university, it is in the name of university itself. So the applicant will be your organization, but the faculty and the student who are working on that project, they can form their startup, and university can transfer that technology to that startup. So it promote entrepreneurship culture, the startup culture in any organization as well. And of course, you will get the funding opportunity as well, because there are so many agencies which are ready to give uh, funding to the good projects who are unique, who has basically the commercial potential. So BIG and seed funds, these are the few names of funding, and you can search
Excuse me,
for.
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but the slides are not in slideshow mode, ma'am. It is not changing.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for. Now is it visible, and is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
moving? I'm so sorry.
Ma'am, another request is kindly also switch it onto the presentation mode in your PPT.
Actually, I was on presentation mode. That's why the slides were not moving. I think there is
Okay,
issue with
maybe
yes.
that may be the issue. Okay,
This is the
thank you.
issue with the Google Meet.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so I'm just making it Zoom so that you're able to. Is it fine now?
It's fine, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So then you will get the funding opportunity for your project as well. And moreover, you can disseminate its knowledge and create solution for the good of society. Because first is your motto is for revenue generation, but also for the good of society as well. Because during this pandemic, we all have witnessed that most of the academic institutions, they came up with very good solution to the COVID-19, PPE kits and other oxygen concentrate and different kind of masks. They are the example of these solution to the COVID-19, which are very good for the society's well-being. So drawbacks of not protecting your IP. Whenever I interact with the students or research scholar, my first thing is that are you willing to file patent application? But most of the students are like, no, ma'am, we are writing a paper for publication. So my advice to those students and faculty member is that before publication, you please submit your patent application. If your work is not completed, then you can file provisional patent application and within 1 year you can file complete specification. This way you are protecting your innovation because you never know your idea can solve lots of problems in future and you can earn out of that. It is not only you have to commercialize it. If you don't have any capacity or resources, you can always transfer your technology to any company, or you can collaborate with industry partner for co-development of your technology and take it to the market, because our main aim is that it is very good feeling to see your product is in market and people are using that. So what are the drawbacks if you will not protect your IP? Then anyone can copy your idea. In most of the cases we have seen students or research scholar, they are discussing about their technology with the industry partner without signing any NDA, and the result is that they have all the resources and capacity to manufacture your technology. They can easily copy your idea and you will have no any evidence that this was your technologies, because you have not signed any non-disclosure agreement with them, and you can't take any legal action against them. Then indirectly you are creating competition for yourself in the market, because that industry can start manufacturing and commercialization of that technology before you. Now the first IP I will discuss about patents. First of all, there are so many people, not all, but there are few who are not able to differentiate between the patent application and patent. They always say, okay, मैंने patent file कर दिया है, मेरा patent file हो गया है. This is wrong nomenclature. Patent is not filed. Always patent application is filed. Patent is granted by IPO. So start using right nomenclature. So patent rights, these are basically exclusive rights which are given by Indian Patent Office in return of complete disclosure of your invention to them. And in India, you can file patent application for product as well as for process. And patent is granted for 20 years. Patent rights, like all IPRs, patent rights are also territorial in nature. I can give you one example. I have filed patent application in India, okay? And it means I have protected my rights in India only. But after a few days, but I see someone in US copied my idea and start manufacturing that product. But I can't take any legal action against that person. Why? Because I have not protected my IP in US. That's why IP rights are territorial in nature. If you want to protect your right, if you want to enjoy the rights of patentee in US, then you have to file patent application in US as well. Patent rights, these are negative rights in nature because you are stopping others from copying your invention. And like other property, you can sold it, you can license it, mortgage. It is in, this culture is in foreign. India, it is rarely seen. It can be inherited, of course, and can transferred as well. Rights of a patentee. Patentee has full right to manufacture and use its technology without taking any permission for anyone. They have right to sell the patented invention, and they can prevent from importing the patented invention as well. Purpose of the patent. I can give you one example. You can discuss with Professor Rajkumar because recently he has been granted with one patent. So it motivates you basically. It encourages you to do more work. It is just like if you have participated in any university program and you got first prize in that, and after that you will feel good, you will do more work towards increasing your skill set in the same domain. You will continue your good work. It is just like that. It is an incentive to the inventors, and it encourages research and development. And also it creates conducive environment in any organization, and also motivate your colleagues and other students. And it bring the technology to the market. If your technology is good, your faculty member and other higher authority will help you with in any manner to further development. And of course, the funding agency will also give you fund. And this way, you can promote transfer of technology as well. So basically, transfer of technology, you can earn revenue from that as well. And the second most important is that your technology will be in the market, and people, or it will be used by the end user. Patentability criteria. So my colleague Pragati will also discuss about that, and I'm also taking this. Like, first most important is novelty. Your invention should be novel. It should not be in the public domain. And always remember, only the single publication or single paper worldwide can kill the novelty of your invention. And the most important thing is that novelty is checked globally, worldwide. And the second most important is non-obvious and inventive step. Your technology should have technical edge from the already existing technology in the domain. If you're working on the same solutions which are already in the public domain, then you have to prove how your technology is better than that existing one. Is it fast or cheap? Because this parameter of economic significance is also considered. The third one is, of course, industrial application. If it has no any industrial application, then there is no way to file patent application. And the fourth one is patentable subject matter, because in Indian Patent Act 1970, there is section 3, where different kind of inventions are describes, which are not at all patentable. So these are the few example, like any frivolous invention, like if you are claiming you have created one machine which is perpetual in nature, means it will run continuously without any input, then it is frivolous. And subsection B is any invention which is contrary to the public order or morality and causing serious prejudice to human or animal health are also non-patentable subject matter. And if someone has created any product based upon any scientific, well-established scientific principle like Einstein equation or the Newton's law, and it is well established already, so it will not be considered as a patentable subject matter. And subsection D says that it is very important, subsection D of section 3, for pharma students, pharmacists who are working on new type of substance or any chemical compound. So new form of a known substance or new property or new use of known substance, it is not considered as patentable in this, as per subsection D of section D. I can give you a very simple example. Someone has filed patent application for antipyretic medicine, which lowers the fever. And after a few days, he realized that medicine has antibacterial property as well. But he can't file patent application for second use of already, existing compound. Subsection E is mere admixture, which is resulting in addition of property of non-substance, is not patentable because there is no any innovation. And next is method of treatment of human beings or animals. It is not patentable, but still the medical devices or diagnostic methods, these are patentable. And plants and animals in whole, they are not patentable, but still the genetically modified plants, we can file patent application for them, but it should have some utility as well. So these are the different kinds of patent application. Ordinary patent applications are basically the application where you are not claiming any priority. These are of two types. Suppose if your invention is not complete and you want to further work upon that, to secure the priority of that invention, you can file provisional patent application and you will have 12 months time to file complete specification. And after that, if you realize that your invention has market potential in other countries as well, if it is one country, then you can directly file it there. But if you think you want to file in 2-3 countries, then you can choose two different pathways. Either you can go for Paris Convention or you can go opt for PCT application route, PCT route. Basically, PCT route is more beneficial in case of time, because national filing time is 30 to 31 months. So these routes, basically, you save the time, money as well, because you have to file application in one language in all the countries. But yes, there is, in few countries like Japan, you have to file translation of that application as well. So I just want to share a few example with you all, as you all are students. So this is my favorite example, which I used to discuss with students to motivate them, like these IIT Bombay alumni, you can also work upon some innovative project, or maybe it can help our society as well. Because nowadays, if you see, we are facing so many problems in different domains. Nowadays, you can see the environmental crisis. And right now, I'm sitting in Delhi, and the environment outside is just like I'm sitting in a gas chamber. So you can recognize the, problems in this manner. You can observe the problems and how you can give a simple solution to the society, which they can opt very easily. So I think you all must have seen, all must have watched the movie Three Idiots, and you must have noticed that prop like drawn. So it was not only the prop, but it was an engineering marvel which was invented by IIT Bombay students. So it was named as Netra Drawn, and you will be surprised to know it was used by our Indian Army during the flood relief operation. And it stayed true to its name because it helped the Indian Army to locate and evacuate people who were stuck in flood. Sorry. And these alumni of IIT Bombay, they formed their startup Idea Forge, and Ankit, Ashish, Rahul, Vipul, and Amandeep. These were the students who created this marvel, who helped our society. So why I discuss this example? Because we also expect from the youngster like you to invent on these kind of innovative project. But if you are in chemistry department, you can look for medicines which are required for, for the benefit of society. Like if you see cancer drugs, which are very expensive, you can see how you can provide it on economically significant price, so that the, any person can avail that. So likewise, I have given you example of environment, how you can give best ideas, to cope up with this problem. Now, these are few simple innovations I'm discussing with you. Why? Because it is not always you have to work upon any complex problem. Even the simple invention got patent in their name, and they further form the company and commercialize the product. You must be using safety pin in your day-to-day life. And you can ask any female at home how useful it is, this safety pin. It was variation of regular pin. And if you see, there is a use of simple spring mechanism and a clasp. And this clasp helps to close this pin. So Walter Hunt, he was the inventor of safety pin, and patent was granted in 1849 to this inventor. So you can see this simple innovation and how he got patent for this invention, and he further commercialized it. And you know the utility of this smallest invention. The next is Velcro. Why I'm giving example of Velcro? Because this invention is totally based upon the observation of the inventor. So George T. Mastrel, he invented. How he does that? How he did that? He went for a walk in the Alps, and he wondered why burdock seeds, they clung to his woolen socks. Then he realized we can use it for the commercial purpose as well, so that to apply for anywhere where the two things can cling to each other and lock the system. So Velcro was finally constructed with nylon and polyester, and patent was granted in 1950. And now you can see the use of Velcro anywhere. You can take the name of textile industry, aircraft, healthcare sector, army, everywhere you can see the use of Velcro. So this is also very simple invention, but it is the observation of the inventor, how he related this to the commercialized, you know, in a commercialized manner, and built his company and further earned revenue out of this. Next IP is copyright. So copyright is basically the bundle of exclusive rights which are given to the original creator of original work. So it can be granted, copyrights can be granted for any literary work, any musical or cinematography work, and of course for algorithm and software as well. Most of the students, they discuss with us if they can file patent application for the software, but in India, we can't file patent application for software. We can file copyright for software and for the algorithms. So copyright protection, it is not mandatory to file copyright application for your work, because as and when you will create any work, you are the owner of that work. Copyright says that. And the most important thing is copyright law, it protects ideas which expressed in a tangible form. Suppose I have a poem in my mind, but I can't go for saying it is copyright until or unless I write down the poem on the paper and then file file copyright application with Copyright Office. The most important thing is that when an author of the work is an employee with any company, the work is made in the course of employment, then the author is not the owner of the copyright. Company will be the owner of that copyright. Why? Because in the employment agreement, it is mentioned that whatever work is created by that employee during the employment tenure, the work will be related to the company. Means company will be the owner of that copyright. For example, if you see my presentation at the bottom, I have written the copyright at the ITTO because I'm working at ITTO. So if I have created this presentation, then the owner of this presentation is my organization, not me. But yes, I will be regarded as author of this presentation because I have written this. Due credit is always given to the writer or the author of that work, but the owner is always the company. So these are the few examples which says that copyright not on the idea but on the expression of idea. For example, these movies are inspired by the famous novel, like Heather is based upon Hamlet novel of William Shakespeare, whereas Five Point Someone, Three Idiots is inspired by Five Point Someone of Chetan Bhagat, and Two State is Two States novel. So as I mentioned earlier, it is not mandatory to file copyright application for your work because as and when work is created, it belongs to the creator of the work. For example, if you have written any poem, then you can immediately send that email to yourself. That manner you are creating evidence for that you have created this work. And it is not mandatory to file copyright application for your work. But still, as an IP professional, I will recommend file copyright application if you think your work is worth of filing, because in future, if anyone is copying your work, you can take legal action against them. So these are, you can file copyright application for literary work, musical, artistic, and sound recording. Next IP is industrial design. So you can see the pictures on my slides. I can give you a very simple example. These fancy lights is solving the same purpose that simple bulbs are solving. You can have tube lights or bulb, but still you are spending 10 or 20 times more money on this fancy light as compared to the simple bulb or tube lights. Why? Why are you spending so much? You can buy any Android phone. Still you are buying Apple phone. Why? What is the reason behind that? It is the aesthetic feature of the article, which is, very appealing to your eyes and which forced you to buy these expensive products because of their design, whereas they are solving the same purpose. So industrial design, basically it protects designs that are applied to an article. And this is only the one IP which protects the aesthetic aspect of an article that enhances visual appeal. If the first point was that industrial design, if they are applied to an article, if you have drawing on paper, then you can not file industrial design until or unless you applied that design to any article. So it can be filed for any shape, configuration, surface pattern, the color or line, or a combination, therefore, as applied to an article. And it can be of two-dimensional or three-dimensional. And its protection is for 10 years from the date of registration, and you can further file renewal for the same. So the basic criteria for all the IP is that they all should be novel. It should be original, not copied from anywhere. It should not be in the public domain. So these are the criteria which are similar for all the IPs. You can file only if your work is original and it is not copied from somewhere else. Now the next IP is trademark. What is trademark? You all are aware about Colgate, Apple, Mango, McDonald's, Starbucks. Whenever anyone say or these names in front of you, you can always have some images in your mind. If you are if someone is saying McDonald's, okay, burger and other stuff, Starbucks, coffee, Mango, apparels, Apple, phone, iPod, iPad. So these trademarks are basically any sign that individualize the good of a given enterprise and distinguishes them from the goods of its competitor. So basically the trademarks, they are the one's identity in the market. You know the worth of Apple. You know the quality of the product which the company is promising to the end user. Moreover, trademark, they helps you in building brand value for your product. For example, if you are starting your startup, you can uh, I just request to please keep your mic on mute. Sorry. So the term of trademark is 10 year and which you can renew as well. And it is recommended to protect your trademark before launching your business. So the best example of this point is McDonald's and Starbucks. So when they decided to launch their business in India or other countries, the first thing was they protected their IP in India first, and after that they launched their business here. And nowadays, if anyone is infringing their trademark, so they file legal notice against them so that they can change that trademark, because that way they are diluting their trademark value. Why? Because if they are not giving the same product which McDonald's or Starbucks are giving, then they are diluting their image as well. So these are the trademarks which can be filed, like any word mark can be filed, any logo, combination of marks, colored marks, product, shape, packagings, sound, smell. These all can be filed as trademark. So the most interesting thing about trademark is that it should be distinctive, not generic. Like it should not, reveal the type of product, which is like if you have given name mango to any fruit, then this is no, this will be objected by IPO. Whereas mango brand is for apparel. It's very arbitrary and strongest trademark because descriptive trademarks are always very weak. So your trademark should be arbitrary and fanciful because these are the strongest mark. You can file trademark nationally and direct filing in other countries through, you can file it through Madrid route as well. Just like in patent, you can file through PCT route in different countries. In case of trademark, you can file it through Madrid route. So like before filing any IP, it is always recommended to conduct search before filing, because then you will get to know if there is similar kind of marks are already in the public domain or filed by someone, then it will save your time and money both. Otherwise, it will be objected by IPO. And please ensure correct uses of the same. TM and SM, trademark and TM is if you have filed trademark application which is not registered yet, then you can use TM for trademark, SM for service mark. Whereas for the registered marks, you can use R in a circle. So basically IPR, it acts as knowledge economy, which contribute towards GDP of India. Like it is the main source of revenue. So you should never disclose your invention. You should, or any IP before protecting it. So always maintain the confidentiality of your IP and then apply for the IP rights. It can be patent, trademark, or industrial design. So significance of patent searches, it is very significant to perform novelty or patentability search before filing the patent application, because you are avoiding reinventing of wheel, and also avoiding expenses and time on filing patent application. Otherwise, it will be objected by IPO if the similar kind of patent applications are already filed by someone. Strategy is very important, not only for IP, but also for your exams as well. You can't be successful if you have no any strategy for your work. And likewise, in case of IP as well, if you are innovator and working on any innovation, then it is very mandatory to formulate IP strategy for your invention. You can take help from professional as well, as my colleague Pragati will discuss with you, because ITTO has signed MOU with CUPB on 2nd June of this year. So she will tell you how you can take help from ITTO. So you can disclose your invention with the experts. They will evaluate your invention and let you know if it is patentable subject matter or not. And as per the recommendations, you can file patent application. But you can always scout for other IPs as well. Like if you are thinking of giving any name to your product, then you can give any unique, fanciful name and file trademark application. If the product has some aesthetic feature, or you can take help from any product designer who can build design for you. This way you can file multiple IP for your technology, and it will create IP portfolio for effective commercialization as well. Because in case if someone is interested in your technology for transfer, then he will be very happy to see, okay, it has good IP portfolio. And of course, you can see the market potential in other countries as well for your technology. And likewise, you can file patent application in other countries and other IPs as well. So there are few pitfalls of some strategies which are adopted by innovators. Like before filing patent application disclosure, basically I have noticed now the students, they are very excited to showcase about their achievements. If they have worked upon any technology, they immediately will showcase their technology on web portal or social media or the different platform. So always refrain from that, because you never know, you can earn so much from your ideas. Anyone on social media, or they can copy your idea, and moreover you are losing the novelty of your idea on which you can work upon. The second is unknowingly assign IP rights to others. So I have one example. I met with one inventor. He was working on one good project, but he said he wants to give rights to his friend. I said, why? He's working in another institute, and if I will file my application through him, then his academic institute will bear all the expenses of patent application. See, he was working on the invention, but he was ready to give all the rights to that another institute who have not worked upon that invention. So please refrain from doing these kind of mistakes, because in future, if you want to transfer your technology, you will have no right to transfer, because that IP is not in your name. And the next point is disclosure of invention in front of collaborators without execution of NDA. They are smart people, they can copy your idea, and they have resources, they can manufacture that and further commercialize it. Last, the most important is drafting your own application. Patent application, it is a techno-legal document, and techno-legal skill set is required to draft the claims. So always refrain from drafting your own application. Please take help from the professional who are in this field from several years, and they know all the nuances of drafting. This is very good example of multiple IP, Coca-Cola. So different kind of IPs are filed for this Coca-Cola: industrial design, patent, trademark, copyright. You can always file copyright for manuals as well. Like nowadays, it is mandatory to have manual with all the products. So that way, because it is literary work, you can file copyright application for that. So this is the best example from where you can learn how you can create your IP portfolio. So Coca-Cola has their trade secret as well. They have not disclosed it with anyone yet. Only the 2% in the company have that formula, and they never ever travel in the same plane, because if plane will be crashed, then they will lose the trade secret. This is my favorite quotation by Mark Getty, because he said, IP is the oil of the 21st century. And look at the richest men 100 years ago. They all made their money extracting natural resources or moving them around. And all today's rich men, they have made their money out of IP. So please concentrate on your research work, and from the day one, work upon how you can make it more, innovative. Start searching on Google patents, You will have the publications, published patent application, granted patent. You will come to know about the research work which is going in the, who all are the applicant who are working on those invention, and how you can compete them, because today's competitive era. And if you are working on this product, or maybe someone before you can commercialize it, and the product will be in market. So try to continue your research work, and make it more innovative, add the points, start visiting in conferences which are in the same domain, and talk with the experts in the domain. You will learn so many things out of that. But never disclose your idea, always listen. So, this is all about my presentation. If you have any query regarding this presentation, you can ask after my colleague session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really an interesting talk, and you've kept it very simple so that our students can understand it much better. You just, you elaborated like about the different types of IPs, like what is patent, copyright, trademark. Maybe our students might not know about all these things, and you also said like how. Before commercializing a technology, patenting is very important, and you've also stressed about like how territorial patent is also very important, and you elaborated about the strategies which you have to use for both for the exams as well as for the IPRs, and you also mentioned rightly about the do's and don'ts which we have to take care during the IPR. Thank you so much. It was really a very interesting session, and I think all our students must have enjoyed this session. For the students, I would say you can drop down your questions in the chat box. We will have a session after the next speaker, and we will attend to all your questions at that time. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
So in this session, we have our second speaker, Ms. Pragati Agarwal. It's my privilege to introduce Ms. Pragati. She is working as a senior project officer at Innovation Technology Transfer Office, and her key focus is on intellectual property management. She had started as an intern at Innovation Protection Unit of CSIR, and since then she has been actively working in innovation and intellectual property. And as a part of a team, she performs patentability assessment, patent evaluation, FTO, due diligence, and technology analysis. She also helps to protect and manage innovations in various domains of sciences. And as academically, she is actually a biochemist and has also received GST Inspire Fellowship. And it's very good to know that she has also immense love for writing. So now I invite Ms. Pragati Agarwal to deliver her talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. A very good afternoon to everyone here. So we have heard about what is IP, what are IP rights. So since now we know what are IP rights and how important it is to file those to secure the IP protection. So now I would be discussing and detailing on how an IP is filed through ITTO. This is specifically for the faculties, the scholars, and the students at CUPB. Just give me a few seconds. I'm sharing my screen, and it would be great if someone will let me know if it is visible. Just give me a few seconds. I hope my presentation is visible.
It is visible.
Thank you so much, Rima. So, how to file an IP? So, to all the innovators who are working on, new inventions, advanced inventions that are solutions to the existing problems or solutions to the unmet needs. So, to all those innovators who are associated with CUPB, I would like to start with that there is no provision that you can directly contact ITTO. Everything has to be routed through your IPR cell, which is there with CUPB. So if you are an innovator, you could be a faculty, you could be a scholar, it could be a student. So, and you are working on a technology, or you have worked upon an innovation that you think or that you assumes to be eligible for IP protection, then the first step you should be doing is approach your IPR cell, because you cannot reach us directly. All the innovators, all the innovations that needs to be assessed, that needs to be processed, should be routed through IPR cell of CUPB. So once you reach at IPR cell, once you approaches your IPR cell with your innovation that you have worked upon, or maybe the innovation that you are still working on, so your IPR cell will introduce you and connects you with ITTO team. And specifically, my colleague, Ms. Rima Sani, would be the sole person or sole contact point on behalf of ITTO. She's the person who is dealing with all IP related work for CUPB. So, so when your IPR cell connects you with Rima Sani, then the first thing she'll be doing is sharing an invention disclosure form with you. So what does an invention disclosure form contains? So
Sorry for the interruption, Pragati, your slides are not moving.
Oh, I think then I need to put it, not to put it on the slideshow.
Yes, there is issue with Google Meet.
So Rima, am I on the second step?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the second step is whenever you have an invention and you approaches your IPR cell. So the first thing they would do is to connect you with Ms. Rima Sani. So Ms. Rima Sani is the only contact point on behalf of ITTO to handle all your queries, to address all your queries, and to satisfy all your queries. So the first thing that she'll be doing is, as soon as she is in contact with you, the first thing she'll be doing is to share an invention disclosure form. So at ITTO, we have specifically curated an invention disclosure form that is customized for CUPB. In the invention disclosure form, the innovator is asked a few queries for which he needs to answer. And there are questions based on asking for the technical details of the invention in the disclosure form. So whenever what we have observed, that whenever there is a question of sharing the technical details, sharing the confidentiality or confidential information about your invention, obviously an innovator feels a bit reluctant to do so. And it is actually, very common on his part. He has put his blood, sweat in that innovation. He has put his time into that innovation and worked really hard. So what if someone runaways with your invention? So that is actually very, very, very common thing that we have observed. So I would like to inform all of the innovators that in case you have any concerns regarding confidentiality, then I would like to tell you the MOU that we have entered with CUPB, as told by my colleague, Ms. Rima, that we entered into an MOU with CUPB on 2nd June this year. So the MOU contains all the confidentiality clauses regarding the IP clauses as well. So we are not going to run away with your IP. We gonna protect it. We're gonna keep it confidential. Second thing, there is a second confidentiality check is also there at ITTO. We at ITTO, like all the team members, we are bound by individual NDA. And those individual NDAs that we have with our organization, that is ITTO, it specifically restricts us to share or to disclose or to discuss any kind of information that is related to inventions or technologies that are with us to anyone. To anyone means not even with the family members. So that's kind of security check, or you can say confidentiality check, that we have at ITTO. So your information regarding the IP, the confidential stuff, is safe with us. You need not to worry about signing an NDA. You can directly share the technical details that are being asked in the disclosure form without any hesitation. Because we are technical person. So if we do not know about the technicalities of your invention, it would be next to impossible to assess that invention in true sense. By true sense, I mean in case we receive half information, or in case we receive a very generalized information. So that would lead to half assessment. Half assessment in case it our comments could indicate that it is not novel, because the generic information tends to be fall in the public domain very, very easily. So it would be again you, the innovator, who would be who would be suffering from this from these kind of comments. And so it is always advisable, and it is recommended, and it is requested to please share your technical details, the major steps that you feel are inventive, that you feel should be protected. You should share those steps and that particular information with us, because only after receiving those information we can conduct a patentability assessment in a full proof form, and that will help us to assess your invention in the best possible manner. Because when we assess an invention, and in case it goes ahead with the drafting and the filing procedure, then the assessment that we have done, that is the background search, goes along with the draft specification. That is the citations that we quote, the non-patent literature or the patent literature that we quote are actually are actually a part of your final application. So those citations will basically help the examiner who is examining your application to differentiate like how well your application stands out of the citations or out of the prior art that already exist in the domain. So it's all about how well you share your how well you share the details about your technology. And in case anything is regarding confidentiality, then I have already explained that there is no need to hesitate about confidentiality. There are two checks that are already there. First is the MOU, and second is the individual NDAs that we have signed with ITTO. So once you have received the information disclosure format, next step would definitely be, we will be awaiting the filled in IDF from you, from the innovator. So once we are in receipt of the filled in invention disclosure form, it is reviewed by the ITTO team. And in case there are any questions that are left unanswered, or in case there seems to be some questions that need to be addressed on the cursory, so we will be communicating those queries to the innovator. He needs to comply, he needs to answer those queries. The next step would be, once we are in receipt of complete information, like the full disclosure, as per the innovation or as per the technology, then we at IDTO will be performing a patentability assessment. So what is a patentability assessment, or rather what all we include in the patentability assessment? So basically, we at IDTO, we are performing these assessments by keeping in view the major parameters for an invention to be qualified as a patentable subject matter. First being the novelty. So my colleague Ms. Sani has already given a brief about what novelty is. So it can also be called as newness or any new concept. So basically, novelty means that your invention, the subject matter that your invention involves, shouldn't be there in the prior art, shouldn't be there in the public domain prior to your filing of the application. So what happens is, at times, what we presume is that if we are filing any patent application in India, then we have to see only the novelty in terms of India, although this is not the case. So novelty is always checked and assessed globally. However, there is no such concept of global patent, but then novelty has to be assessed globally. For example, in case you are filing some application in India, and there is a piece of work which is there in Europe, which is there in US, or maybe any other country, then it should not be overlapping with your invention. In case it is, then there are chances that the novelty of your invention can be compromised. And novelty is the foremost criteria to define the patentability. So a novelty, I would like to explain how the novelty can be compromised or can be killed. So if being an inventor also, you are publishing your invention in some journals, or maybe as a graduation thesis, or maybe something in terms of a conference proceedings, then also it is termed as a prior art. So you need to be cautious. You should not disclose and kill the novelty of your invention. And the novelty can be compromised by any kind of patent literature, any kind of non-patent literature, or in fact, including, I would say, including all the commercial products that are there in the market should not compromise the novelty. So what happens? What I have observed is that there was one innovator that came to me saying, so my product is novel, I need to file a patent application for it. I said, good, if it is novel, if it is patentable, then we should go ahead. So during the assessment, what I found out is he already has started commercializing his product. So there the novelty got compromised. So when I asked him that you were already marketing your product, dear, there are no chances that we can save you from this novelty aspect. So he was like, but I have commercialized my innovation, so what's the doubt there? So it took me almost a month to explain him that no, even if you're an inventor and you are publishing your inventions before filing a patent application, before securing a priority date, you are compromising the novelty of your innovation. So the next parameter that we assess is the non-obviousness. So what is non-obviousness? It is the inventive step. So now, as per the Indian Patents Act, the inventive step could be established if your technology, the product, or the process is technically advanced when compared to the already existing products. It could be in terms of economic significance as well. For say, there are products in the market that are way too costly, and you have come up with some innovation that is offering a similar kind of a product which is at par with the technologies that are there in the market, but at a nominal rate. So obviously there is something that you have used. There are some kind of raw materials or the components of the devices that you have used are cheaper than those that are being used in the products that are there in the market. So in that case, the economic significance would be considered. And in case economic significance is established, then the technical advancement or the inventive step gets established automatically. So it could be either technical advancement, it could be either economic significance, or it could be both. Now the next thing is the industrial application check. So when we are assessing any innovation, so the third parameter that we look for is the industrial application. So as per Indian Patents Act, every innovation needs to be either being made or used in the industry. In case the innovation is just not is either not made or if it is neither made or not being used like in the industry, then there is no use of such innovation. It is not going to capture the market. And if something is not going to capture the market, then it is not a kind of an innovation as per the IP rules. So once we are thorough with the novelty check, with the non-obviousness, and with the industrial application, then we provide our comments. The person who is assessing your invention would have several comments. In the comment section, we also include if there are any relevant sections of the Indian Patents Act that your invention might attract. For example, my colleague Ms. Sahni has briefly explained about the Section 3. So yes, Section 3 is actually captures a lot of innovations. So we assess your innovation in terms of Section 3 as well. So in the comments from the experts who has assessed your innovation, so those relevant sections would be quoted, and along with that, our comments would be there also that if this data would be provided, then it might waive off this objection. So for example, there is some kind of a formulation. For example, there are 3 components in this formulation, A, B, and C. So in the market, these A, B, and C are individually known for specific functions. Now, you as an innovator has come up with some formulation that particular formulation combines all of these A, B, and C together. And then you are coming on to the formula, say a formulation is D, and you're coming on to the D. So now you have to establish that what is the synergism among those A, B, and C that they were not able to show individually. But when you combine them in certain ratios, in certain proportions, they are giving out that result. They are showing efficacy. They are efficacious now. So those comments will help you to even help you as an innovator to assess your invention. Next is the additional queries. So of course, whenever we assess any invention, it's not like the first draft is the final draft. There, the queries will definitely accompany, because though we are technical person, but then innovators are the best person who can tell about their invention, because a mother knows what her baby is about, right? So what I feel is every innovation is like a baby to all the innovators. So there is no one that can describe the innovation the way the innovator can. So we always have a doubt, but we can resolve those doubts by discussing it further, by having your opinion, combining with the legalities of the sections that are there in the Indian Patents Act, and then we can conclude the assessment. Next is the recommendations. So as soon as we conclude the assessment, we share some recommendations. These recommendations could be about, like if an innovator should go for a provisional filing, or if he should go directly for a complete application filing, or if he should if he should still needs to work on that innovation, because there are few things that are compromising the non-obviousness, or that are compromising the novelty aspect. So those recommendations can include such kind of questions. It completely depends upon the type of innovation we are assessing. So now once we are done with the assessment part, we will be sharing the assessment with the IPR cell of CUPB. So in all of this in all of this process or the protocol, the innovator would be marked, would be CC'd in the loop. He would be kept in the loop along with the IPR, because as I've already mentioned that the IPR cell is the one through which all the innovators should approach us. So we share the patentability assessment report with the IPR cell by keeping the innovator in the loop. So the step 5 would be, once we have shared the assessment with the IPR cell, then there is an appointed committee there which actually decides like what decision is to take, whether to take this application ahead, whether to take this innovation ahead or not, or whether there are still chances to to go back and do some improvisation. So the final decision rests with the committee at the IPR cell of CUPB. So in case in case the committee says that yes, we are considering this invention to go ahead to be filed as a patent application, so the next steps would be we will be, along with the patentability assessment that we have performed, we'll be along with that assessment and the technical details that have been shared by the innovator, we'll be using it to draft a strong specification. If it is a provisional, then it would include the claims part. In case it is a complete specification, then it will include the claims part. So once the drafting is done, we will share the first draft with the innovator, of course, through the IPR cell. So then even during the stage of drafting, there are many questions because once we start drafting, naturally, there comes the question about certain specifications. For example, in case it is a process, then we need to show the specifications like temperature, the pressure, the pH, or the humid conditions. So sometimes the innovator and we skip such kind of information, or maybe inadvertently. So in that case, those queries can be there. So once everything is in place, once every query has been answered by the innovator and the draft gets finalized, it is good to go for the filing stage. So during the filing as well, we need to comply with a few formal requirements. Those formal requirements could be Form 1, could be POA, and I suppose Miss Sani would be sharing all of these formal requirements with you beforehand, so that there is no further, there is no delay in filing and securing a priority date. So once the application is filed, then in a span of 2 to 3 working days, we receive the receipt of filing, and the application number is generated. And once you are in receipt of the application number, you are allowed to publish it anywhere. Then you need not to scare or afraid about getting it disclosed to anyone, because now your invention is secured with respect to the IP. You have the priority date. Any disclosure coming after that date is not supposed to be a prior art, or is not supposed to be fall into the public domain, or the form as a part of prior art. So there are few do's and don'ts that every innovator who is contacting through IPR cell of CUPB to us. So firstly, you have to mark a copy of email to IPR cell, of course, as I have throughout mentioned this, that IPR cell needs to be in loop because there is no such direct provision of contacting us directly. Secondly, whenever you share the technical details with us, it is requested to share everything over the email along the details of the document should be password protected, and you can share the password separately with Ms. Reema Sani as she's the only contact person you can get in touch with in case you have any innovation in your hand. Next, for example, specifically in university setup, there are a group of innovators that work on a single invention. So contacting every innovator, it's actually a cumbersome thing for us, and then it delays the process. It increases the timeline, the timeline of filing, drafting. It increases everything. So it is always recommended to give. To assign one innovator, to designate one innovator as a sole contact point with whom Ms. Sani can communicate, and that innovator can further discuss the things with his with the co-inventors, and then as a group decision they can as a group decision he can again communicate the same thing to Ms. Reema Sani. And the fourth and the most important thing is, even if you have contact number of Ms. Reema Sani, please refrain yourself from sharing any confidential information on WhatsApp. Because nowadays WhatsApp, what we have, this is a kind of practice that we have started to follow. We have asked all the clients, please do not share anything on the WhatsApp. Because in case it is not encrypted, in case it gets, in case somebody has that disappearing mode on, so then ITTO won't be the responsible party to see if the information is safe or not. So every confidential information should be shared over an email. Though in case there are any queries, you may contact Ms. Sani, you may call her, you may text her to get a meeting arranged to discuss your invention. But then sharing the information on the WhatsApp, that is crucial to your invention, and that could lead to compromising of the novelty, is just not recommended. So that's for all for today. I hope I made myself very clear about it. the procedure that needs to be followed by the faculty or the scholars or the students that are associated with CUPB to protect their innovation in terms of IP. Thank you so much. We may now have a doubt removal session.
Thank you, Pragati. So now the session is open for questions and discussions. So is there any question from the audience? Please raise your doubts, your questions.
There's no question in the chat
No
box.
questions so far.
Um, you can unmute yourself and ask any question from both of us
Right.
pertaining to IP and the process of filing IP through CUPB and ITTO
Right.
collaboration.
We would be happy to answer.
Okay, then if no question is raised now, I'd like to inform the audience that CUPB has already planned to organize a workshop with ITTO, and very soon we are going to have interaction with the resource person. So at that time also the queries and the doubts can be raised, and all of us can interact about the IPR.
Yeah, I think the lectures, they were very simple and self-explanatory. And now the researchers from Central University of Punjab, they maybe like to interact with you in person. Maybe it might be like they have certain queries, but they don't want to disclose in public, and they want to have a one-to-one interaction.
Sure.
So we are just looking forward for you people to be here.
Same here.
So I would like to thank on behalf of the Innovation Cell to Pragati Agrawal for her very informative talk, because she explained how to file IPR, and that is actually a big question to all of us. So I would just like to sum up what I have understood from your talk. That you explained that there will be a customized form for the CUPB faculty, and then the innovators have to fill the technical details in that disclosure form, and that then this will be reviewed by your team, and the patentability assessment will be done. And this will also be shared after the assessment, it will shared, the document will be shared with the CUPB faculty, and then is the stage of the decision, yes or no. So
Yes.
this decision will be taken, and if it is yes, then drafting will be done, and the filing procedure will start. And then it will be generated, application will be generated, and then file number will also be issued. Okay. So I think you made this entire thing very easy, because this is this is a matter of interest to all the innovators working at Central University of Punjab. So I thank both the speakers, because you touched almost all the aspects of IPR, and thankful to Ms. Sahni also, because both of you actually get the knowledge, and this kind of awareness about the IPR is really very important to create an environment that foster innovation and creativity. So thank you very much, Ms. Pragati. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I just want to add one point, because before giving our decision yes or no, before that we will give our recommendation to the inventor, so that they can differentiate between the cited prior art, which will be in the patentability assessment report. They have right to tell us how their invention is better than the cited prior art. On the basis of that, we will evaluate again, and then we will give yes and no in black and white. Either they can go for filing provisional or complete specification.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Rima, and thank you, Pragati. So it's great to hear from you, and we have been interacting with you. So Rima, it was great to hear from you again. And I'm here to propose a formal vote of thanks, although Dr. Kiran has already thanked you all, but I'm here to thank Dr. Kiran too. So it's my pleasure to propose a formal vote of thanks where I'm thanking the two speakers. It was really enlightening talks today. Rima, you just touched upon the basics because students were here. And Pragati, you talked about the filing procedure because we want the faculty to be a little familiar. It was so simplified that now we know the stepwise the way you explained it. So it's so nice to hear in such a simple manner. Thank you very much. So I would also like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajendra Prasad Tiwari sir. He's always here. He always encourages us to organize such orientation and workshops. So he's the driving force who always asks us to do such events. Dream Research, Professor Anjana Munshi, who was here in the beginning and she spared her valuable time with us. So thank you, Professor Munshi. Dr. Preeti Kejriwal, convener of IPR Cell and IIC. So she's the one who has organized all this, and in the future also we are going to have such nice interactive workshops and programs in the future too. Dr. Yoga Lakshmi and Dr. Kiran Singh for moderating the two webinars, two sessions. Thank you, both of you. And now I request you all to please rise for the national anthem. Thank you very much.